Welcome to a preview lesson on the topic of researching potential sponsors, which is part of a lesson I instruct in a motorsports marketing course. I did a Twitter poll last week where I asked what topic would people be most interested in learning about, and the winner was researching potential sponsors. So here we are. This lesson is just a glimpse into this topic and course, so just realize this is a basic overview of what I think would be the most beneficial. The actual course and lesson would be more in depth. So let's get started. The basic steps when tackling this subject would be: determine 1 to 2 customer profiles of who your average fan is. So when I say you in this lesson, I mean your property. So who are you trying to pitch? So if you're a driver, it's you. If you're a car owner, it's your team. Or if you own a racetrack, it's that, or your series, etc. So when I say you, I mean like the property you were pitching. So anyway, this will help decide what companies might align with your fan base. Then you need to determine what type of racing category you fall within. So is it local, regional, or national? I will go over that next. List out your current sponsors and make sure you know what their goals are, especially if they're looking for business-to-business opportunities or if they're direct to the customer. Like, what are their goals? Do they want to sell more product? Do they want to expand into different states, etc.? It's really important to know what your current sponsors want. That way you can keep them and keep them happy, but also find other sponsors that might complement that. Then you must start brainstorming potential industries that will match well with your current sponsors. And then, what is your value proposition? What is it exactly that you can bring to the table? Why would somebody want to sponsor you? And that's a whole other topic, but that's something that you definitely have to consider and keep in the back of your mind every time that you are considering trying to find a certain sponsor. Like, what exactly can you do for them and why would they want to sponsor you? So for simplicity's sake, I break down motorsports into 3 different levels. So you'll see here we have local, regional, and national. So for example, local racing, this isn't where you're going to go to corporate Walmart to try to get a big corporate sponsor. This is best for locally owned small businesses. They would benefit from some local marketing, like maybe a local grocery store or a florist or just something like a mom and pop type place. Regional racing, so this is a larger geographic. They travel from time to time. Most of these people still probably have a regular job, but they're racing on weekends, either like a regional series or going to different tracks. You'll want to focus your efforts on small to medium-sized privately owned companies. Of course, large and public companies are always possible, but the success rate for that would be a lot smaller than finding a local one. So research companies in the area you race or attract fans from. Small chains with multiple locations would be ideal. You don't want to go be racing in Tennessee and trying to get a local In-N-Out burger franchise since they're not in the area, you know what I mean? And then national racing, so obviously you want to get a larger company with multiple locations. This is a larger budget that you'll be asking for, so you want to make sure it's not just a small company who won't even be able to afford it. They usually will want a larger viewing audience, knowing that you travel nationally. So this would be a company that is maybe online based or definitely not just regional. They are throughout the country, more than likely. Or target companies that are trying to grow to be a national company. That obviously would work as well. This is the most difficult to get your foot in the door because it's hard to find the right contact there. So this is where networking or just some major online creeping can come in. And then this is actually for all 3. Finding companies that you have some sort of personal tie with is a great way to get in. So that's where networking comes in. But let's go over B2B and B2C. Some people might not be aware. So business-to-business companies are when businesses deal with other businesses. They do not market to the general public, but to other businesses. So Caterpillar Heavy Equipment primarily sells to the construction industry, right? They're not advertising to a general person because we will never buy an excavator. You know what I mean? And then a business-to-consumer company is what most of us are familiar with. They are people who sell to us. So this can be anything like toothpaste, clothes, vehicles, computers, etc. Computer companies, for example, they might be B2B and B2C. They sell to companies, but also people. So you have to be aware of that. So why this is important for us to cover is because some of your sponsors might be wanting B2B. So on the next slide, I have a great example of that. So say your largest sponsor right now is ABC Roofing Company. It's probably not smart to pitch to another roofing company if you plan on keeping ABC Roofing, right? You don't want 2 different roofing companies on your car or at your track advertising because they're competing against each other. However, it'd be a good idea to maybe seek out B2B relationships that might benefit ABC Roofing. So construction companies, shingle manufacturers, tool suppliers, find out maybe what companies they currently use and see if they have a contact there. I don't know shingle companies, but you know what I mean? Like find a shingle company that they currently use, get that salesperson's information and maybe contact them and see if they would be interested in coming on board. A lot of great deals come of that when people work together. And then make sure that the company's in the area you are. I already stated that, but last thing you want is to pitch to them and they are 2 states away with no interest in expanding geographically. Well, first things first, at this point you should determine the type and or size of company you want to target. This will help narrow down the options. There are endless resources out there for finding companies. There are websites such as Fortune, Inc., or Dun & Bradstreet. Now, those would be large companies, so this is more if you're looking for the national touring type level. But your local chamber of commerce would be a huge asset. You can find it just by Googling your county name and chamber of commerce, and it will bring up a business directory of every business located within that county. So wherever your entity will primarily be located, that's a great way to find like maybe regional or local type companies. So for example, here is the Cabarrus County. So that's a home of Kannapolis, Concord, and Harrisburg, North Carolina. They have a massive list. It's all separated by industries. So if you say click automotive dealer, it will bring up all the automotive dealerships within the county. So that's a great asset, especially if you've already narrowed down like an industry you think that you want to target. Next, like networking. It's probably the best way to achieve sponsorship, but it is often the most overlooked. You might identify a freight company might be a good suit for your program, and it turns out your aunt works for someone who is good friends with a local freight company owner, right? This is how a lot of sponsorships come about, through the people you already know. So like use your family and friends to help with brainstorming. You never know who they know. And I don't mean to post on social media asking for friends to find you sponsors. It's meant to be asking people for help ideas while in conversation. Even if they don't have any ideas at the moment, they will remain alert for any opportunities that may cross a path for you. And then utilize your social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn to see where your contacts work. Notice one of them works within an industry you identified would be a good suit to your program. Reach out to your contact and ask if you could get a contact within the marketing department and go from there. It helps when you know somebody who is in there already. Most of the time, if you just send a random email to a random company, you might not even get a response. At least if you have a name like, hey, I know Jessica, we went to school together, she thinks that I have a program that might be of interest to you, is a great way to break the ice and get a conversation talking. Know the company. If you are pitching a company to sponsor you or your team, it's vital that you are familiar with the company. Just like when you go for a job interview, you want to know about the company and what's important to them and what the goals and mission statement are. Like, why is this company a good suit to sponsor you? And this is like questions you ask yourself internally, right? What makes your program a stepping stone in their success and company goals? So like know the basics of the company and especially know about the person who you are trying to contact. So this might take some time, but like reading up on the company website, web searching the company and the executives will show that you did your homework. You might find the executive's profile on LinkedIn and you'll know, hey, they went to school at the same college you did, and that's a really good icebreaker, right? It's important to know about the company and not just be using them so that they sponsor you. So at this point, you should have a list of potential sponsors in your area or nationally. So which ones should you actually approach? Well, we have this handy tool in Excel called the Sponsor Compatibility Matrix. This will rate the companies with a percentage, which will sort them from like least to best match. And it's actually quite interesting on how it all works. Of course, this isn't like scientifically proven or anything like that, but it would be extremely useful when you're trying to narrow them down. The way it works is you list out up to 10 potential sponsors and then rate from 1 to 10 in each column for each sponsor. So at the very end, the higher the number, the better the compatibility. Like I said, it's not scientific by all means, but it's a good way to narrow it down and figure out maybe which companies you should target first and then kind of work your way down. So approaching the companies, at this point, you should be familiar with each company that you are prospecting and be confident that they are a good match for you. A great way to find the executives' names is to research on LinkedIn, like I already mentioned. But remember, timing is key. Companies finalize their budgets for next year generally by October, and I mean, that's like the final deadline. So plan to start looking for sponsors as early as June or July of the year before. So if you're looking for sponsors for 2023 right now, you maybe should start around mid-season, so June, July. Start off slow with a call or email to introduce yourself or your program. Make them want to request more information. A company doesn't want a 15-page sponsorship deck to read through on their first conversation. Like I said, it's best if you can find some sort of contact there that knows somebody you know to do an icebreaker or to introduce you. It's extremely hard to just cold call a company. It does happen sometimes, yes, but networking is key. Even find them online, add them to Facebook if you can, or do whatever you can do to try to get an in there. Closing tips. So check spelling on everything, especially the names of the people you're contacting. If you're sending somebody an email and they have a different spelling for their name, make sure you pay attention to that. Detail is key, and they will notice that you didn't pay attention to detail. Don't target companies who already sponsor a direct competitor. Nobody wants to take somebody else's sponsor, at least I would hope not. It doesn't look good. It will probably get back to the other person. So find your own. Don't act entitled. Humble but also confident is always better than rude. And you need to take no for an answer if that is the answer. If you do get a no, ask if next year they would be willing to reconsider, or maybe ask for feedback on how or what you could have done differently. Also, give them enough time. Executives and business owners are busy. Give them time to review the opportunity. Don't harass them for an answer. You can maybe follow up like a week later or something like that. It depends on the situation and what's appropriate, but you're not going to want to call, email, text, whatever, stop by every day until you get an answer, because that answer will probably be no at that rate. So thank you for watching my mini lesson on researching potential sponsors for motorsports. Remember, this and many other topics are covered at greater length in my motorsports marketing class. It actually starts a week today on January 24th, 2022. If you want more information, fill out the form linked. If you are watching this after that start date of January 24th, 2022, this is the third consecutive year I've been offering this class, so it will probably be offered again in 2023, I hope. So if so, just fill out the form and I will keep you on a list and send you more information when the time gets closer. Thanks.